Hello
Hey,
there.
hey, Gail and Tony, how are y'all doing?
Great, great. Just a beautiful night here.
It looks it. You all still have light out. It's getting pretty dark here. I was gonna
Yeah,
see
I,
if it was like up here whether I want to open up the screen door. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll probably do that. And that way the cat can Sweetie Belle's being blocked here. There's Sweetie Belle.
oh, there she is.
Hi, the Gail and Tony. I was gonna have a drink tonight, like a mule, but I decided I was too tired, and instead I'm gonna have I get some tea, so I'll drink tea with you guys.
My water.
I get your water. All right, so you all aren't partying tonight then?
No, no, not tonight. No. We went out to the beach today. We took well, he's really our ex-son-in-law, but Stacy's ex-husband.
Still very, very
Yeah,
good
a
friend.
dear friend, and he's our
Nice.
and he stayed overnight last night. He lives down in Ponte Vedra, and so we took him out to Fort Clinch so he could see that area out there. It's a Florida park, and
Okay.
you can't believe the shark's teeth and the petrified bones and all that stuff that you find on the beach out there.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
So how are things going up there?
They're going fine. We're trying to think of
Okay, I'm on.
main thing is have an expedition next week, which is great. I can't wait to see everybody. Hi, Debbie. I see
Hey,
you,
guys.
Don.
Debbie,
Hi, Debbie.
How's everybody?
great.
Doing well. You're already at Montpelier again, Debbie. Holy cow.
I know.
She,
God.
she really moves fast.
Boy, if only it were that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
go
wish
to
I
Texas.
could bring my son back with you, Debbie. I miss Cole so much.
Oh,
But you're
Is he-
flying.
oh
Is
yeah.
he down in Texas?
Yeah, he's just probably a half hour from where Debbie is. He's in Denton.
Oh,
No,
okay, yeah.
that's like 3 hours.
Oh, where are you again?
I'm in Austin.
Oh, you're in Austin. Okay. All right. Then you are a ways. He
Yeah.
does get down to Austin doing his fish stuff, his fish surveying.
Still working on the what was it?
The big mouth carp.
Carp. Oh,
Oh,
the geese are going over.
I
Sorry.
see the geese. Yeah. Oh gosh, buffalo fish.
Yeah, buffalo.
Buffalo
Yeah.
fish. Yeah. But he's actually doing a lot more long nose gar. He's doing tagging. I think he has pretty much all the samples he needs for his thesis. He just needs to process it all. But
Boy, when we had that place down in Okeechobee, the guard down there they love nothing better than to get and twist your line all up.
okay.
It was awful.
Yeah, I don't know how they are to eat. Have you ever eaten them?
I would need a gar.
You need a gar, okay.
Oh no. In fact, buffalo's considered a garbage fish. So
But they're better to eat than carp.
yeah.
Yeah, they're I guess they make dog food out of
Yeah.
buffalo fish. That's what Cole said.
Well, we had the bowling alley. We served carp and buffalo, scored carp and buffalo on Friday nights.
Okay.
Deep fried, filleted, and scored.
Well, I guess anything that's deep fried is going to be not too bad. So.
Well, it's surprising that the buffalo was a whiter meat than the carp.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's a bottom-eating fish, it's the meat is just almost pure white.
Okay. Interesting.
Matt, the mysterious person named Alan Schuyler that you see on there is my husband.
Okay.
And he just kind of wanted to sit in and hear what we were talking about since
Sure.
I rave about you guys all the time.
Yeah. Hi, Alan.
But we'll behave ourselves.
We will.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Hi, Carissa. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Matt?
Good.
James is over here off to the side listening in also. So
Oh, great. You're looking forward to meeting James. So
Yeah, he's looking forward to your tips and on trails and camp oversights.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we
There's
look forward.
the quite a bit that he'll be able to camp at. So
That'll be awesome. We're looking forward to that info. So thank you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think we've got a few more folks. I saw Peggy yesterday, and she should be signing on. And let me see.
Where does she live in Florida?
I can't remember where Peggy lives in Florida.
I mean, close to us. She could have ridden up with us,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know where it is, but because we're going to leave early Saturday or early Sunday morning and drive straight through.
Let me see where Peggy, I'm looking her up right now, where she lives in Florida. Let's see.
Here she comes.
There's Peggy coming on.
Melbourne, so quite a bit south.
Yeah, yeah, more in South Florida.
Yeah, but still it could do a carpool, but it's all.
Yeah.
Oh, are y'all talking about me?
We're talking about you.
We
Peggy.
wouldn't talk about you, Peggy.
Yeah, Melbourne's about 2.5 hours south of St. Augustine.
Well,
Well, we're up in Fernandina Beach now. We're an hour. North
Oh,
of-
you're up north of Jacksonville. Oh, that'll make the drive easier. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I said it's too bad we didn't meet up and you could have ridden up with
Oh,
us.
everything's frozen.
Have you already got your
Everything's
radio?
frozen.
Oh,
You're breaking up on me.
Peggy, if you've got lower reception, sometimes turning your camera off will help.
Okay.
That's what I've had to do in the past.
All right.
You'll still be able to see us, but in the PowerPoint, you'll be able to hear us. But sometimes the camera is just too much.
Carissa and Debbie, hi y'all. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll try turning it on and off and see if it gets better. So what did Gail say? Did she offer me a ride?
yeah. Yeah,
Serious?
come up Saturday and we're leaving early Sunday morning.
Serious, really?
Yeah.
exactly.
We're leaving early Sunday morning, driving straight through. And
Yeah.
then coming back, we're going to stay over Friday night and leave early Saturday morning and come back.
Well, there you go,
That's-
Peggy. Something to consider.
It's tempting, though I did just check the seating on all my Delta flights, and the flight's like wide open. There's nobody sitting anywhere around me.
Well, that's good.
Well,
I'm back in the back of the plane on
you
a window
sit in the
seat.
back seat of our car,
Yeah.
and it'd be a lot cheaper.
Well, I'll think about it. Thank you. It's very kind, but I
Yeah.
don't know how to get a hold of you.
Oh, have you got something to write our telephone number down on?
I do.
You
Go ahead.
might
Sorry.
be able to type it up in the chat.
Yeah, that's true. If you put it into the chat,
Okay.
there, Gail, you could.
How do I do that? You know me, Matt.
We'll see. I'll give you mine, Gail.
I'll send. It's the. I'll send the number. It is. Let's see. The 217.
Give me my.
There's mine. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Gail and Tony, it's the 217 number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sending this over to Peggy.
Okay, Peggy, I missed yours. I was gonna take a picture of it, but I missed it.
Matt's got it. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
891-4185. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Well, and you can text me and then I'll have yours.
Okay, I'll think about it. Otherwise, I'm supposed to get to the be at the Melbourne airport at 6 a.m. Saturday morning.
No.
Um,
You could hit the road and drive up here in about, what, 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, I can make it to Fernandina in about 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Matt. We got.
no problem. That's what this is all about. Is the final details and making connections. And also we're still waiting for Joan and Diane, but I'm recording this, so if they come in a little bit late, they'll be able to see all this. So they'll realize, they'll see what they missed in the beginning. So, but yeah, looking forward to having you all here next week. This is going to be this is going to be a fun expedition because it's all folks that are repeats and are alumni, and those are always the most fun to have old friends coming back. So,
and it looks like the weather is going to be absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, the weather's going to be fantastic. It was last week was a little bit warm, but this week and next week is going to be true fall weather. You never know about early October. It can be, you still have 90-degree days, but I think that we're all set with what we've got. So.
I'm still going to throw my long underwear in though. Some of those mornings are pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that definitely, it is very cool in the morning. It'll be, let me see.
I thought I read that like down in the 40s.
Yeah, we saw one day where it was saying a low of 46.
Yeah, I'm looking at the days right now. Yeah, it's going to be, no, Monday it's going to be a low of 41. Thursday is going to be a low of 39.
Oh,
so
dear.
I would definitely dress in layers. Yeah, it's going to go from, Thursday will go from, actually Wednesday will go from 74 degrees down to 39 degrees. So better wear a lot of different layers and be ready to shed those. So, but yeah, what I was going to have us do today was go over the Power of Place lecture and use it as a chance to give you all some updates and what we've been up to. And we're going to do the your one of the more meaningful places. We'll do that on Monday morning when everybody is here. I'm getting commercials popping up with Zoom. I don't know what that's about. Get rid of that. Yeah. So, and then you all know to arrive at Arlington on Sunday for dinner. We're gonna have dinner dinner will be served at 6. So getting there a little bit early would be good. And then those of you all that are staying at Arlington can get there around 4 o'clock. And if you need to get there early, Peggy, you said you've got a Saturday flight. If you are arriving early, just let us know and we can figure something out for you.
I think Debbie said she was also coming in from Texas, aren't you, Debbie?
Yeah, and I've been emailing Sarah Lee.
Okay.
And everybody seems to know that Peggy and I are supposed to be there Saturday.
All right, then you all are all set. I'm behind the times then, so you all are good. Good deal. Yeah, and I'll if you all are there on Sunday and you want to do any tours, I'm actually giving a tour on Sunday afternoon. When it's I'll send you a note with my tour time. I think it's either 1 o'clock. My tours are at 11 and at 1. So you feel free to join on those. It'll be a kind of a different perspective, walking, doing a larger walk across the landscape because we still don't have the house open yet. I think it's going to be might either be this weekend or next weekend. It's going to be open for the first time, but I can't remember if that's moves in. It's more November. It might be November that we do that. But we were doing some virtual tours of the house like on Monday. Of all days, I'm not sure why Monday, but we are looking to do like basically kind of have visitors. You'll do a walking tour, and then basically people will be able to walk through the hallway and the drawing room and then out the back. So it'll just be the first floor, but kind of a dash through the house. So we'll see how that goes. So, and that's going to be limited to like 6 people because we can't have, with the size of the space, we can't have more than that. And yeah, the door code for Arlington, I believe it's 5829. Let me check my phone.
That's what it's been, but I heard that it might be changed.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I heard that too, but I'm not sure. I will ask, I'm gonna send an email right now. Hannah Taylor dig door code. Door code changed yet. Oops. I've sent a really whacked out email to all of them, so spelling mistakes galore. So, but well, can anybody think of any other business? 'Cause these are actually really good questions, like the door code for Arlington.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
With Arlington House not having Wi-Fi the first few days,
Mhm.
you had mentioned something about another Monday morning lecture. Is that going to be in person?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Monday morning lecture.
Oh, I thought you said something about we would talk about memorable places on Monday.
Oh yeah, that's going to be out in the field.
Okay.
That'll be like the regular like meet and greet and say hi to
Oh,
everybody and be in a
okay.
big circle out by the overseer's site. So yeah, that basically all the whole program is going to be held outside, including the lab. So Mary's got the field lab set up,
Yeah.
which is really fun. The field lab has worked out really well. So it's kind of cozy to be out there. So and actually Taylor just responded, bless her heart. The upstairs kitchen door is still 5829. So you all are set with that.
Go in there and get my,
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So
Anywhere.
it's in the drawer right in the coffee table. I'm sending Tony for a piece of paper, so in case I got to write something down. Otherwise,
okay,
so he's just going in the living room. We're sitting out on the lanai. So.
Another quick question, Matt.
Mhm.
This is my first time coming. If I do fly up there alone, my son and his wife don't live there anymore. So it's not like I'm going to Crozet and I have people there. I'm on my own. So if I have any kind of trouble, like driving from Richmond there, something happens, who do I contact on a Saturday morning and how? How?
you could contact me, which is I'll put my cell number in the chat,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
406, and we could get things figured out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my cell number in the chat there. But yeah, we could, that'd be the best thing to do. And that'd be for anybody. If you have any kind of issues on Saturday or Sunday, just give me a call. So, cool.
Thank you.
Well, what I'll do is I will go ahead and start the PowerPoint here. I'll go ahead and share screens, and let me know if you can see the screen there, which is not a very interesting screen. It's one of the for uploading pictures onto the internet for Dennis's metal detector surveys. So, but yeah, what I thought I would talk to you all about is getting the basically doing an overview of some of the history of Montpelier, but in particular a little bit more in the agricultural history of Montpelier. And because I think a lot of you all have the basics of the history down and know a lot about the details of the formal landscape around the main house. And really for the past 2 years, we've had a intense focus on getting the rest of this landscape figured out all across. So I'll put on my not spotlight. Oh, I don't want that. I want the thing for the this guy. Let's see. Oops. X out of that. Here. Let me know if you can see the laser pointer right here.
Yeah, got it.
All right. So we've been focused on the larger 2,700 acres, and I've really come into a much better understanding of some of the changes that have happened through the years. And one of the things we're going to do on, I can't remember if it's Friday, it's going to be Thursday morning, is we're gonna, or Friday morning, is we're gonna go on a hike up Chicken Mountain, and we'll either go up to the top or do part of it. We'll see how everybody feels. But we've got, and Chicken Mountain is the area right over here. So where the site is right where the red dot is right there. And then there's a trail that goes up and over Chicken Mountain. And actually, Carissa, there's some pretty cool places to camp up in this area that
Nice.
might be of interest. So,
Thank you.
and for the house, we've, gosh, for the past 20 years, we've had a focus on getting this landscape figured out around the main house, especially with the south yard, and then the north area that we did a year and a half ago with the pine alley. And of course, for the enslaved community, what was their venue was the rest of this 5,000 acres and what we have of the 2,700 acres today. And what's amazing is just how little of this landscape visitors see. Where the star is, basically what visitors are exposed to is basically the area right in here. And then some folks go over to Gilmore into the Civil War camps, but you've got all the rest of the property. And we'd really like to, start fleshing out some of the walking trails in the deeper part of the East Woods. There's all kinds of things that we'd like to look to do. But for much of this, what we've been doing with traditional archaeology, like that you all know about and have been participating in, where we've been looking for domestic sites, the living spots, the slave quarters, where you've got, all the, in this case, the south yard, and we've reconstructed those. And then also where the field quarter is below the visitor center, we've done the reconstructions there as well. And all these sites, what they share in common is just, lots and lots of artifacts. So it's, they're relatively rich in terms of, when you open up units, you're bound to find stuff. And the overseer's house is no exception to this. We're getting so much in terms of artifacts from the overseers, which is really great. But a lot of these other sites that are out there, like the storage sheds, the granaries, the work areas, there's not a lot of artifacts that show up. But what we've got is, with the metal detector surveys, we're able to locate these with, with the scatters of nails that are present, but then also with the LiDAR, some of these field edges that are out there in the woods today. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this this coming week, and of course be doing excavations at the overseers. But as you can imagine, the overseer's house, looks out over that whole farm complex. And Dennis is just starting work on the blacksmith shop. I know some of you all were on the Wednesday lunch and learn that we did, showing what Dennis was finding out there. And that site, oh my goodness, that is actually, while it's a work site, there is so much in the way of material culture. He was, I went out to see him today, and he's uncovering plow fragments, all kinds of, getting into a lot more slag. So he'll be doing a metal detecting demonstration for you all on Wednesday morning, and we'll show you some of the stuff that he's getting out there. But for overall, we're starting with a farm complex to really bring about a much fuller restoration of what's on the landscape, in terms of just not the so slave quarters and the main house where people are living, but a lot of these work areas, which are in many ways witness to where the sacrifices are being made by slaves. Because for the enslaved Americans that were at Montpelier, not only were they kept against their will and had no control over their daily lives, but they had no way of accumulating wealth because their labor was owned by somebody else, in this case the Madisons. So looking at that accretional loss of wealth, it's out there in those fields that we're going to find it. And really what I am most excited about on looking at the property as a whole, when you look at this map right here, is what's in the woods today. That's really is the tangible evidence for the labor that slaves are engaged in. That's where you can actually see, where the field lines are, where the even the blasted up plow furrows from the LiDAR surveys. It's all there. And I in your packet that got sent out, oh gosh, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you all were able to look at that in the reading section. There's a story map on the Eastwoods, and it's on the some of the LiDAR and the metal detector surveys that we've done out here. I don't know, did you all have a chance to look at that?
I haven't read it yet.
All right.
Yes.
So okay, so some have, some haven't. It was big quiet moment with the class. So.
I could
Oh,
not
no,
get,
I did.
I had trouble getting them to load.
Oh, you had trouble getting them to load. Oh, was it the images weren't coming up or the maps weren't?
Nothing was coming up from the links on that
Oh,
page
gosh.
that Sarah Lee sent. But yeah, and it could have been a problem on this end too.
Yeah, it's pretty data intensive with the internet. So if you were like you trying to do it on a phone,
No, I was on a laptop, but yeah, not a big deal. I'll try again
Okay.
before I come.
Yeah, maybe try a different browser.
Good. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sometimes that and if the browser isn't updated, some of those links will
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good idea.
So, but yeah, with these sites of labor, that's kind of really the next frontier of what we're looking at. And this is something the descendant committee, the descendants, the descendants of slaves at Montpelier who are working with are very interested in us, beginning to, bring out more in terms of our interpretation. And, a lot of this, we don't have any documentary records about where these sites are. And for visitors to actually see these sites of labor, it makes slavery, a little more real, and the fact that people, were, what they're doing in their daily lives. So, and what's great about these sites is, the period for the Madison period, for the first 100 years of Montpelier, that's where you have over 100 enslaved individuals who are doing this work. And then over the next, 2 centuries, what you've got is all these sites are preserved, in the woods. And in fact, like I've told you all in other lectures before, in the 1840s is when so many of these sites are abandoned and they return to woods. And in some cases, you have areas returning to woods that were never even wooded before. We were doing, there's a gentleman, Devin Floyd, who's a former archaeologist. He used to work at Montpelier like about 25 years ago, but he's into meadow ecology now. And he's doing a survey of some of the meadows that were, down in the farm area, along Back Road and Farm Road over at Montpelier, and looking for remnant 18th century species that would indicate old growth meadows. They would indicate, the areas that have always been in meadow. And what they're finding is, it's not likely that all of Montpelier, like if you were here, say in 1600, there's a good chance that not all of it was in woods, that there's a good part of it that was in meadow and in savanna. So, there's just all kinds of things. The area that he's looking at is this meadow that's in this area. I don't know if you can see my laser pointer. He's doing work in this area, and it's found, some remnant species in there that indicates, some of these areas could be ancient meadows. And he said even in the woods, if you know where to look, where you have openings, like where if you have a telephone line or a utility line that goes through the woods, you'll have a seed bank from sometimes over 200 years ago that'll still sprout some of these meadow species. So just some really neat stuff that's starting to, we're learning more about with the landscape. And I don't know if y'all have read about any of the, meadow restoration work. I know there's some of that happens in Illinois, Gail and Tony, but I'm not sure if you
Haven't heard.
So, but for Montpelier, I think y'all have seen this map before, where the white is the 2,700 acres that we have, and what's in yellow is the Madison era lands. And what we've been finding with the both the LIDAR and the work we've been doing in GIS is so many of these edges of where the property lines are show up in the LIDAR and where field edges are. So these deed maps are actually mirrored in the woods with the field lines. And in some cases, when you look at some of the deed maps in the late 19th century, the land is divided up even more. A lot of those are reflecting how the plantation is divided up during the Madison period. So, you know, we're beginning to flesh a lot of this out, and it's helping us get an understanding of where some of these fields were and how the landscape was organized in the Madison period. So it's something that we're, you know, looking to move on with some of the analysis that we're doing. And I don't know if many of y'all have seen, you know, how much of the area we've done in metal detector survey, but the area that is in with these green and the yellow blobs in here with the red, and then the visitor core with all this intense area. I was talking about this on Wednesday. We have surveyed such a small part of the property. You know, anything that's not in this green in these areas, all these areas have all been surveyed, but the rest of this in here, up through here, center field, over the rest, the other half of Chicken Mountain, and then so much of the North Woods, we still have left to do. So we're going to be finding a lot more sites up in these areas. You know, what's in yellow are sites. Most of these are Civil War sites that we found years and years ago with working with Lance Crosby, who's a metal detectorist. But some of these smaller sites, these little guys in here, are some of these Madison era sites that are barns and slave quarters. Whereas, you know, these larger ones are these regimental camps from the Civil War period. So with all this, you know, when you start looking at the history of Montpelier, you've got different time periods for, you know, with each generation, it seems like there's a different sort of agriculture that's going on. And again, this is relevant for the overseer's site because we're looking at the retirement years, but for the overseer's site, we're also very interested in the home farm. And while, you know, the majority of the sites we're finding out there date to the 18 teens and 1820s, when, you know, the area where we're working at the overseer's house site is right where the Mount Pleasant's house site is. So this is a view of Mount Pleasant right here. It's an artist rendition. The main house, the kitchen, the family cemetery is back in this area. And where we're working with the overseer's house is over on this side. So Westgate Road is over here, and then the visitor center is way off in this direction. So while there's a separation between Mount Pleasant and the overseer's house on this side, we're still finding a lot of early 18th century ceramics. Like just 2 weeks ago, we found some what are called Westerwald, these German stonewares with these beautiful incised lines and purple decorations. You know, these are things you don't see even during the Revolutionary War period. They're dating back to the 1730s, 1740s. And this is the period when Frances Madison was running the plantation, and she was mainly having her slaves work tobacco. And she worked, you know, she ran the plantation from her husband's death in 1732 up until 1761. And when her son, James Madison Sr., comes of age in 1741, while in his father's will, he was supposed to inherit the plantation, Frances renegotiates that will so that she maintains control of the plantation up until 1761. And that's where James Madison Sr. starts to diversify the plantation with, blacksmithing, having blacksmiths and making goods for the local infrastructure, and also becoming a merchant factor where he's importing goods from England and then selling them to, you know, local farmers and other planters. And for years, we always assumed that when James Madison Sr. married Nellie Conway Madison, the folks right here, that they didn't move into the house right here, that they moved in when they arrived here in 1749, when James Madison was born, that they arrive here at Mount Pleasant, because Mount Pleasant is there up until about 1761 when Francis passes away. But as it turns out, and I think some of you all, oh, Carissa, you asked, that's pretty amazing for a woman to maintain that much control over land. Yeah, it is very unusual. I mean, as you can imagine, if Francis married, what would happen to the land?
Go to her husband.
It would go to her husband. Yeah, she would legally not have any control over it. And what's crazy about that is her maiden name is Taylor. And I think some of y'all know this. All the Madison land comes from the Taylor family. So all the land that is what you know of Montpelier today was originally her family's land. And so she brought that into the marriage. And so she, I would imagine, probably had a connection to that land that was very different than Ambrose Madison. And when Ambrose kicks the bucket in 1732, she's probably like, hell no, am I going to get remarried and then lose all the land to some husband
Amen.
who comes along to jockey the slaves and the land away. She, maintains control over it. So it's a really interesting case study. And what became really interesting about all this is, not only was she maintaining control over the production of tobacco and marketing that in her own name, but let me close this. We're gonna be blasted out by the train. She dies in 1761, and it's only at that point that the timbers for the main house are cut, and that James Madison Sr. and Nellie Conway Madison hire a mason to start firing the brick for the main house. And so we've assumed for a long time that, when they're, for the first 10 years of their life, they live at Mount Pleasant. But of course, what we found more recently was this building right here, the South Kitchen. This structure is one that we excavated in 2016 and found, this massive chimney and all this chimney fall, but also I don't know if any of y'all have seen the pictures of the chimney top.
I don't think we have.
No.
Okay, yeah, this chimney top, this is this piece right here. Here's a closer look at it. Here's Liz cleaning up the edge of it. What you'll notice is when we found this, we thought, what in the world is this? It looked like it was an arched, like at first when I found it, I thought, okay, maybe this is some kind of cistern because it looked like an arched brickwork, but it didn't make any sense because it was underneath all this brick fall. And then when I was looking at right in this area, you can see, it's hard to see right now, but when it first got revealed, there was this blackening on the inside, which looked for the world like it was creosote. And then when Jen looked at this, what she realized is that, this is the top of the flue of a chimney. And when you look at this plaster band right here, that Liz is pointing out right there, it matches the plaster band for the 1765 house. And when she looked at how much brick we were finding, Jen Glass said, there's no way this is the kind of chimney that would be on a kitchen or an outbuilding. This is something more akin to to a main house. And of course, we know where the main house is. It's right here. And what she thought about this is, is whether or not this could be a planter's cottage, which is a kind of a starter home. And usually a planter's cottage is when, you've got a wealthy planter that moves into an area and they're just start setting up their house and clearing the land. Well, in this case, this planter cottage might have been used for Nellie Conway Madison and James Madison Sr. to escape Francis. More relevantly, Nellie to escape Francis and living with her mother-in-law for the next 10 years or whenever she dies, until the point where when she passes away, the matriarchy of Francis running the plantation will pass to the patriarchy of James Madison Sr., and he can build his house. So this starter cottage is this kind of like, stepping stone waiting for Francis to die and, you know, giving a nod to the earlier generation, to Frances. And then once she passes away, that's when the main house is built. But they've got this place to live. And you think about them living in a structure about this size, and this is at Pear Valley, which is this structure is about 20 by 24. The one we've got is 16 by 24 feet. So it's much, much smaller. And by the time you get to 1761, James Madison Sr. and Nellie have had about 8 kids. So, you know, they've got a passel of kids and slaves living all in this space. And I don't know if y'all remember in 2017, no, it was 18, we found that well that was the circular brick
Yes.
feature.
Yeah, Liz found that out there by the midden.
Yeah, she was excavating that. And that's, yeah, exactly. It's under a trash deposit, that midden, that dates to the Revolutionary War. And when we realized that this building could be dating to 1750, that's when we realized, holy cow, that trash midden that dates to the Revolutionary War from the late 1760s into the 1770s and 80s, it's on top of a yard surface with that well, that well might be associated with the, you know, the activities for this chimney base. So, you know, there's yet like a whole nother landscape to explore at Montpelier dating to the 1750s underneath all that, that material that is down in the yard in here. So here's the kitchen, there's the outbuilding, the well house is right here. The house, the building that is there today that has the lattice work where we used to
An
keep
ice
our
house.
materials. Huh?
Yeah. The DuPont's ice house, is that what somebody called it?
Yeah, the well house was where we keep all our, we used to keep all our equipment, and when we were excavating in the south yard.
Oh, okay.
It had all the lattice work on it. And
Yeah, I thought somebody called it the DuPont Ice House. No, it was not the DuPont Ice House.
yeah,
DuPont Well House.
the DuPont well
That's
house.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
that's
the DuPont
me.
well
I'm
house.
sorry. My mistake.
I think the DuPonts, they early on they had ice boxes in the cellars that they used. I don't think they ever I don't know if they ever used the well or the ice house below the temple. There's some DuPont workers that did refer to the ice house as the ice house. So there's some indication that maybe early on in the early 20th
okay.
century, it could have still been used as an ice house. But once they did the concrete trick to the ice house, I'm not sure how much it was used after that. But that well that's down here that we found under that trash midden,
Right.
we're thinking that might be associated with the kitchen or that early dwelling house. And right now, you know, Jen has done research on, you know, contemporary examples like this one at Pear Valley. And, you know, what's neat about this 1750s period is it's right on the edge between, you know, more vernacular architecture and Georgian architecture. So you're in a period that, you know, looks a little bit different than, you know, the 1760s. And so the building that Jen's has designed, this is the south kitchen going up right now. We'll visit it. We're going to have Jen give you all a tour of the south yard along with Terry on Thursday morning. And the kitchen is just incredible. I mean, the architecture of this, the design of this building is just so cool. We're going to be adding a shed addition next. I think the masons are going to be pouring the footers for that maybe when you all are here next week. But they've just about got this eave and this chimney up to the roof level, and you can see them working right here. And once they get the chimney through the roof, that's when Craig's crew is going to come back and close it all in, you know, with the siding. So some pretty cool stuff happening. And what's fun is to be able to visualize this building on the landscape now and realize like how this wall lines up with the 1765 wall. And we actually took a tape measure 2 weeks ago and measured from the edge of this wall over to the 1765 door, which is right here. And it is exactly 100 feet. which is so cool because that 100-foot interval is an 18th century measurement interval that was used for laying out landscapes. So, you know, what's really cool about the planter's cottage is that for years we thought, okay, you got the main house and its symmetry and where the central line is here, everything got laid out based on that. This planter's cottage is built in 1750, and then in 1761, when they start putting in the cornerstones for this building and laying it out, they're laying it out from measurements from the planter's cottage. And then you think about this being where James Madison spent the first 10 years of his life. You know, it's kind of his you know, the cornerstone of his life as it is for the cornerstone of the rest of this space up around the main house. So it's given us a whole new way of looking at, you know, this early period of history, and makes me really want to go back and excavate more at Mount Pleasant to understand, you know, more about Francis Madison. But that's going to be, I don't know when we're going to do that, but it's definitely a project I'd love to get into. Did you all know about the, had we talked about the kitchen and its early history before?
Cursory,
Yeah.
not an in.
Yeah, we mentioned it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, you know, it's kind of with the kitchen coming out, being built on the landscape, it just made us think about this a lot more, and you know, what its relationship is to everything else, you know, around the area. So it's pretty exciting. This, you can see, you know, did any of you all see the kitchen when it was fully exposed?
No.
No.
Yeah, I think it was 2016 is when we excavated the kitchen. So, and then it was pretty much backfilled by that point. So we, what we did for the construction is we unbackfilled parts of the walls, and the masons put foam down on the intact brick foundation dating to the 18th century. And then they poured a footer over this whole thing and basically entombed it. So I don't think in my lifetime, I am ever going to see that archaeology, you know, jackhammered and revealed again. So I'm not too worried about it, but it'll be, you know, if anybody ever, I don't know why they would decide to tear this building down and look at the archaeology, but it's a time when Montpelier has a lot more money than we have right now. So
Well, just leave good notes, and then they won't have to.
I know that is the key thing, you know, absolutely is. You can see a little bit of this, you know, these footers right here that are covering up the archaeology. So this, like where the chimney base is this massive concrete bunker that encloses that, you know, the archaeology of that we did out here. And we actually have a lot of this in a 3D model that's on a program called Sketchfab that's online. And so you can actually go and explore that and see the kitchen foundation. And if y'all are interested in that, I can show that to you. But it's pretty cool. We documented this building and all the buildings in the South Yard, you know, 7 ways to Sunday. You know, between scanning them, drawing them, doing photogrammetry. I don't know if y'all remember Megan Gustafson. Gustafson, yeah, she's in Florida now in graduate school. She did the photogrammetry for us for that. So, but yeah, so, and the kitchen remains in the yard, you know, obviously into the retirement years. So when James and Dolly add their wings onto the house, or add the duplex addition onto the house in the front portico, you know, this 18th century landscape largely remains intact. And it's only in the early 19th century, when the wings are added, that all these buildings are torn down, except for the kitchen and the spinning house that remain in place. And these are, you know, the basis for how the rest of the South Yard is laid out. And, you know, when you start looking at the difference that one generation is paying to the earlier generation, this really shows up in the South Yard. I mean, kind of in the same way that when Dolly and James, you know, add the wings on the house to make all the changes, Mother Madison's house, Nellie Conway Madison's house, is still intact. Because remember, Madison's father dies in 1801, but does anybody remember when when Nellie Conway Madison passed away.
Oh, wow. Uh,
I have my notes.
1820s?
Yeah, 1829, right at the end of
Yeah.
1829. So she's around for almost another 30 years after her husband dies. And so by the time she passes away in 1829, Mr. Madison is only 7 years away from passing away. And so what he's done is when they make these changes to the house, he keeps her section of the house largely intact, not only with the house, but also with the outbuildings where her slaves are working. He keeps those buildings there as well, and then lays out the south yard in relationship to these buildings. So, we've always wondered why the south yard is set in such close proximity to the main house. We're thinking now, it would have been to show the status of having nicer buildings for housing the house slaves and having them closer to the house. But we're thinking also now that this was, keeping Mother Madison's slave, like her domestic slave patterns intact, with her kitchen still being used and the spinning house being used as a slave quarter. This is probably areas where her slaves are living. And then Dolly and James's slaves get added on to this area right here. So all this, this progression of, the early history of James Madison's childhood all the way into the retirement years, it's given us a really different idea of how to interpret all this space. And it's pretty exciting because a lot of this stuff we've had questions about for years. So, but so with this, the one thing that we're also going to be doing this fall is planting the catalpa. I don't know if y'all, have I told y'all about the catalpa tree?
No.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's a tree that shows up on the 1908 DuPont map. And then we found the archaeological evidence of it right beside the kitchen. And
That was a catalpa?
Yeah, the catalpa.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all remember, well, y'all remember Allison, the horticulturalist?
Yes.
She, this spring, she took a job at Tudor Place, which is in DC. So she's left. But I've been corresponding with her, and she actually has a heritage catalpa tree at Tudor Place that was designed and built by William Thornton, who's friends with the Madisons, that she's given us. And her old assistant Robert is now the horticulturalist at Montpelier, so he went and picked that up last week. And we're going to probably plant that we're actually going to plant this in the spring after all the work is done in the kitchen. So we're going to start fleshing the space out. And Gail and Tony, you'll all be happy to know that
Purple robe locust.
Yeah, the locusts are all doing fine. So they looked like they were
a little disheveled.
They did look a little disheveled a couple of years ago, but they've really taken off. And the pine trees are doing well up there by the temple as well, which is great. So, but of course, with all this, with the death of Madison and Dolly selling the property, that's when all this space goes away. And really, the area between basically from the main house all the way to the base of Chicken Mountain, all this area is abandoned. And this is where we get into, the excavations at the home farm. And what we've found with the home farm is just, as rich as the South Yard is, this area has even more promise in terms of excavations. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot ahead to, past the, some of these slides here about the Civil War. And basically, because you all know, about the DuPont ownership and the changes that happened, and then the work we did in the front yard looking for the fence and, restoring that back to the early 19th century. And then I've covered a lot of what we have done with the South Yard already with the earlier slides. But with the duplex or with the home farm, what we've got is this huge area that we need to investigate. And, with the metal detector surveys, it's, well, we like the 20-meter survey that we did is how we found so many of the sites that are out here. So of these sites, we excavated the slave quarters. This is a picture of this building right here, the archaeological remains of it, which is a subfloor pit, right below the visitor center. We excavated the slave quarters back in 2012 and 13. And this subfloor pit was filled with ash. And did any of you all hear the talk that Heather Lash gave? It was like about a month ago.
No.
On animal bone. It was one of the Wednesday lectures.
No.
I keep meaning to go back and listen to it. I missed it.
Oh, you missed. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
she analyzed some of the animal bone from there and she compared it to the Gilmore cabin. And what she found was the Gilmores were relying a lot more on wild foods, but the slaves were relying more on domesticated and probably lower cuts of meat. But what's wild about these, both the subfloor pits we found at the slave quarter, and then also the borrow pits where the slaves would get clay, is these holes were used as trash deposits. And so we're starting to find these similar features at the overseer's house with the units we're opening up. So I'm hoping we're going to have a really good chance of finding some really good faunal material, like animal bone material, at the overseer's house with some of these deeper features. Because unfortunately, y'all might remember that while all this is unplowed, the
Right.
overseer's site, all this area in here, is one of the few areas of the historic core that's actually been plowed.
Yeah.
And what do you think plowing does to animal bone?
Chops it up to dust.
It chops it up to dust, exactly. I mean, it is. When we excavated at Mount Pleasant, we didn't find any animal bone until we got into the features. I mean, it was just basically got little fragments, and trying to identify, the animal bone from the plow zone is just nigh on impossible. So, but we're finding all kinds of features at the overseer's house, which is helpful for, for getting these kind of remains, and of course all the ash deposits as well. But as you can imagine, all the sites, like the ones that are in blue, these show up really well with standard archaeological techniques, like with shovel test pits and with excavation units. But these other sites are a little bit more hard to locate through standard archaeological techniques. And this is where the metal detector surveys come in. And the metal detector surveys, these are, what we've been doing across the property. But as I mentioned before, we've focused in on the area of the historic core between the main house and the home farm right down here. So the overseer's house is right here. This is where the slave quarters are. And all this area that's in red is where we've got all these sites that, show up really well. And with the metal detector surveys at 20-meter intervals. And of course, what's the most common artifact that we find in these metal detector surveys?
Nails.
Nails.
Yeah, nails are just absolutely Montpelier's gold. And they, show up, even if you've got like a tiny shed, you're going to have a concentration of nails. And what can you do with nails other than know a building was there?
You can date the buildings.
Yeah. And that's
Identify the age.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find the age. And what's really great about nails at Montpelier is these nails date to the various time periods that correspond with changes at the house. So, for the 18th century nails, these relate to the, the Madison Senior and Nellie area, and also, of course, to Francis Madison as well. The ones that are machine cut, but either have a hand forged tip, like the spatulate tip or the pointed tip, or they're machine cut and they have a hand forged head. They date to this period of transition between 1797 and 1807, when James Madison Jr. starts taking over the operation of the plantation. And then for the period of the retirement years, it's fully machine cut nails. And then even when you get into the post-Madison period, you've got these machine face pinch nails that are very, distinctive and different from the Madison era nails. So out at the overseer's house and at the home farm, we're finding almost none of these, later dating machine cut nails that are face pinched. They're all the side pinch. And so that speaks to the area in here, chiefly dating to the Madison era. And that's why we've thought for years that this area was abandoned by, soon after Dolly Madison sells the property in 1844. So for this area, you'll see, basically where you've got these darker red splotches is mostly where living spots are. But then, obviously the blacksmith shop, you'd expect there'd be a lot of iron there. And there absolutely is. Dennis will be demonstrating some of this on Wednesday. He's just getting into the top of the hill in this area. And there's some areas where when he was metal detecting it to do the 20-meter survey, he couldn't even swing his machine and hear any hits, because what a metal detector does, the machine, is when you swing from an area that doesn't have any metal into an area that has metal, it senses the difference, and so the tones change. But if you're in an area that has nothing, obviously you don't hear anything. But if you're in an area that has just tons of iron everywhere, the machine basically thinks that there's no change and there's nothing there. So Dennis was detecting in this area up here and hearing nothing, and he was like, this can't be right. And he opened up a plug, and it was just, he dug down through the grass and removed the plug, and there were like 40 iron artifacts there, pieces. Yeah, it was just insane. I've got a picture of that. I'll find it after this, but there were key fragments and nails and cook pot fragments. I mean, it looks like at this blacksmith shop, they were making all kinds of things during the Madison era. So, it's still not the same size as the blacksmith shop that's up here by the temple, but it's still a pretty big operation. So we're going to be really interested in doing the metal detector surveys, how this area compares. And what we're doing right now is this map shows the 20-meter survey. So these are all 20-meter squares here. And what we're doing is, we're going from a 20-meter grid down to a 10-foot grid. And where you've got these concentrations, we've laid out 10-foot grids, in some cases in previous years, like the field quarter, we did a 10-foot metal detector survey here in the spring of 2012. Yeah, the spring of 2012, before we did the excavations at the field quarter. And we did the same thing up at the tobacco barn quarter. When initially we thought it was a slave quarter based on how much ceramics we found. But later on, we realized it wasn't a slave quarter, it was a tobacco barn. And then the overseer's house, we've been working the overseer's house since about 2016. In fact, during the last election is when we started this area right in here. And then we did this area in 2016, this area in 2017, and then this area in 2018. And then last year we did the area in here with the metal detector program. And unfortunately this year we're not going to be able to do a metal detector program because of COVID. It's just too close quarters with metal detector survey. And we're going to hold off maybe for next year for doing an expedition with metal detectorists. But where Dennis is right here, he's laying out a 10-foot grid, and you'll all be able to see that on Wednesday. But for the tobacco barn, have you all seen the excavations there?
No.
Like even in like a summer?
Threshing machine parts. Didn't we see that?
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, the threshing barn, exactly. So we did the metal detector survey here, thought we had a slave quarter because of the concentration of items, but then we not only were finding nails, but these threshing machine parts.
Right.
When we first found them, we had no idea what they were. I thought they were parts of a plow from the DuPont era that would, basically not a plowing, but kind of a harrow for just roughing up the soil. But then it was only when we started excavating that we realized these are all hand forged items, you know, because the nuts are square nuts, which are 19th century, and then the holes are off center. And then each of these teeth are different, so they're all handmade. And that's when we realized, you know, this might be part of a threshing machine. And when we did the excavations, that's when I think you all have seen this sequence where, you know, we did the
Yes.
excavations, yeah, and found
Right.
these smoke trenches for a smokehouse.
For the
So
barn, for the tobacco, yeah.
yeah, for the tobacco. Yeah, exactly. It starts off life as a tobacco barn in the in the late 18th century. And then in the early 19th century, that threshing machine is established, you know, installed in the middle bay right there. And so this, you know, what we were able to figure out is the threshing machine was right here, and then this barn was here. And began life as a tobacco barn, changed over to a threshing barn. But this threshing barn really shows just how, you know, intensive of an agricultural area all this complex is. Because if you've got, you know, this tobacco barn that's being changed over to a threshing barn, you've got a pretty big operation in terms of agriculture. And then you've got all these other buildings, you know, a slave quarter that we found up here. This is at the top of the ridge, right by the kitchen for the visitor center. And this is a site that we have never really investigated. Would love to do it one day. When the fiber optic line went through here, there's some massive feature that it cut through. And so there's just all kinds of stuff that's here. This is what we think might be a farrier's shop. The stable that we found with the visitor center construction, with the survey for the entrance, the entrance for the visitor center was supposed to go through here and then come up this way. But once we found all these sites, you know, it was obvious that we needed to preserve all this. And that's why all the parking lots get shoved up in this area. But for the work we're doing right now, this blacksmith shop is one that's turning out to be absolutely huge. I mean, all this orange in here, the green is, you know, between 0 and maybe 3 hits. But then when you get into yellow, you're getting into the teens, and then into the red, you're looking at, you know, 39 to 200 hits. But what we found with the 20-meter survey is that when you do the 20-meter survey, a lot of times you don't hear all the hits. And it's only when you get to the 10-foot survey that some of the concentrations show up. So Dennis in this area, even though this area is shown as having like 38 hits on the 20-meter grid, on these itty bitty squares in here, he's finding over 70 hits in a 10-foot grid in this area, and you know, in one of these 10 by 10s. So this blacksmith shop, he's found a burn structure down here. The main smithy is up in this area, and he hasn't even gotten to the top yet. So there's just all kinds of cool stuff. I'm thinking that probably next spring and maybe even the fall, we'll be putting in units at the blacksmith shop. Just a scatter of units like we're doing at the overseer's house now. And then maybe in either the summer of 2021 that we'll excavate the features at the overseer's house. Because you can imagine if you're excavating, you know, a feature and you've got like 8 people all in one area that's 20 feet by 20 feet, that's not exactly social distancing. So that's why we've got, you know, a scatter of units over at the overseer's house. And we're probably going to do the same thing in the spring for the blacksmith. And then hopefully, you know, by next summer, hopefully there'll be a vaccination that's widely available, and we'll be able to, you know, do some, you know, more intense archaeology. We just have to see. But obviously we've got a lot to do out here. And so even if we're into next fall, we're opening up units, investigating some of these areas, we're not running out of anything to do. We could even wait for, you know, 2022 to go back and investigate the overseer's house and still have plenty of, you know, time left in the NEH grant. So, but with all this, you know, we've got all these buildings, and what we've, I can't remember if I had shown you all this. This is this schematic of what we think this area looks like. It's a 3D rendering that the University of Arkansas did for us.
Yeah.
Had I shown you all this?
Was that when, did you
I
show when?
haven't seen, no, I haven't seen this version.
No.
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a we've been working with the University of Arkansas on the IMLS grant, which is that 3D rendering of the main house, and they specialize in this kind of three-dimensional rendering. And what we're trying to do is, they rendered this for us. It's a static image, but they can give us different perspectives, so they can. This view is looking towards the visitor center. The overseer's house is right here, but they can also, on their computers at University of Arkansas, they can pivot on the image and look in this direction as well. So this is the same model, just from a different angle. But we don't have the software here at Montpelier to do that. But what I want to do, my goal is, using GIS, is to be able to get this sort of imagery into a 3D environment and be able to do this in-house. So that's what they're helping us with the IMLS grant. And I'm hoping that in a year we'll be able to build these kind of buildings ourselves virtually, and then populate a three-dimensional landscape like this with different textures. So this was kind of a concept that I've been working with them on for quite a while. But you can imagine what would be great about being able to do this in-house is, if we discover this work shed isn't here, that it's over here, and that the overseer's house doesn't have a stone chimney but a brick chimney, we can change all this stuff ourselves and not wait for like 5 years to get the renderings done correctly. So I'm kind of excited about getting some of this 3D capability in-house, which would be pretty cool. So for the overseer's house, there's part of what you all know about the overseers is this plat. I think you all have seen this, the plat from 1844. And
Right.
it shows, and what buildings are on this that you all know about, just looking at it?
There's the main house, and there's the overseer's house, and the mill, it says.
Yeah. Anybody know where that is?
It's right there.
Down past the blacksmith shop. It's
Right. You're getting close. The blacksmith shop is right here.
Yeah.
Do you all know where the stream is at the bottom of Chicken Mountain, along Chicken Mountain?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. This is that stream. And Chicken Mountain today comes up along here and then crosses the stream about right here and then goes up along here. And if this is the mill dam right here and all this area was flooded, what would that mean about having a road that went through this area?
They'd have it.
If it
It would wreak havoc. Yeah, you'd either need
Yeah.
to have a trestle that went over
Every
this,
spring. Yeah.
or you'd have to, it just couldn't happen. And so what we're thinking is that the road that's right here is no longer in existence, and that Westgate Road, like when you come down Westgate Road today, this is a weird exaggeration. Westgate Road should be out here. This is some kind of like, I think the plat drawer was on crack when he drew the main house. The main house should be about right here, and then Westgate Road comes along here. But on Westgate Road, you come down through here, and basically Westgate Road cuts through where the blacksmith shop is. It kind of cuts that site in half. And if you look at this on the map, you can begin to see this. So, like for example, here's the main house is right here. The overseer's house is right here. When you look at where Westgate Road is, let's see. Well, actually, Westgate Road is right here, But I
Right.
can't remember if I told you all earlier about where the slave quarters is right here. We excavated a trash deposit right here that we found in the metal detector survey. And when we excavated through the trash deposit, unbeknownst to us, underneath that trash deposit were all these wagon ruts.
Hmm.
And this unit right here is right here in the middle of a field. And so we were like, okay, maybe this is a road that leads up to the slave quarter. And we're never going to find where the rest of this road is. Well, several years ago, Dennis, in metal detector surveys over in the fields over here, he picked up a road down in this area, and he followed it, you know, with the metal detector surveys, and it went right up to these units and literally went right up to where we found those wagon ruts. And then he was able to follow it across the field, but then he loses it somewhere in here. This is where the blacksmith shop is. And we're thinking
Oh,
that this road went up and across here, and this is this road right here. So today, Westgate Road comes along here and keeps going, but back in Madison's day, we think it ends right here. And then when the
Mhm.
DuPonts have their workers breach the mill and they build a dairy over where the mill is today, then they drain that pond, and that's when they punch Westgate through, and then Chicken Mountain Road is put in along through here. So, you know, there's this completely different layout of the landscape here that for years confused us, you know, all this area. And one thing I was just looking at, I just realized this. See where it says spring right here?
Right.
There is a wet area right in here, this bottom
Yeah.
land. I bet that is a spring. Dennis and I were just talking about this the other day. Is
Are
that
those
there's-
the little depressions you saw on the LiDAR you talked about Wednesday?
those depressions are up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are up there where the blacksmith shop is. This
Oh.
is way down here.
Okay.
I need to, but you're right. I need to look at the LiDAR to see if this spring shows up. It'd be really cool to check this out.
Mhm.
And I think I might have the LiDAR up on another screen here. We'll have to check that. But what we've got is, you know, there's this whole village, you know, work village, slave village, overseer's house, all these buildings that are hidden on this landscape, along with a whole different road network that we're just beginning to discover out here at the farm complex. And what we're looking to do is, you know, not only rebuild the buildings, but then also potentially, you know, restore all these other spaces as well, because there would have been gardens, fields, road networks, fence lines. And one thing we're going to try to do maybe this spring is do a ground penetrating radar survey all across this area to try to see if there are features that, you know, obviously won't show up with metal detector surveys if there's no artifacts like gardens, but would show up with a GPR survey. And that's the, you know, GPR, the same guy that did our survey for the slave cemetery, which is right up in this area. So some exciting stuff. So while we're working on the overseers, there's a lot more to do. But for the overseer, the overseers, you know, we've got some information on the overseers, especially Abram Edens. And Hillary Hicks, who's our researcher, she did some research on Abram Edens, and it turns out that he owned land in Madison County and owned 16 slaves. And it's unclear whether he had the slaves here at Montpelier, because they show up adjacent to Montpelier on the census records. So there's some interesting complex things going on with this guy. And this is this period that we've got, you know, the best representation in the archaeological records. So, and then after 1828, when, you know, the Madisons start, you know, selling off land, you get like 5 or 6 overseers. And then once Dolly leaves Montpelier in 1837, her son, John Payne Todd, is turning over overseers each and every year. So just things are starting to fall apart during that time period. But one thing we'd love to do is find, descendants of overseers. But what we're finding is that not a lot of people want to, I don't think that's a part of people's families' history that they want to remember. That
No, probably not.
your ancestor was an overseer. It was not the most popular role to have, in society at the time period. It's kind of like, having folks remember that, their grandfather or their great-great-grandfather was a drunk. That information is just going to be lost. It's not going to be there. So, but we're trying to trace out some family names, and hopefully we'll have some luck with that. Do you all have any ancestors that were overseers?
Well, not that I tell you.
There you go. So it's not something that people would want to run around and brag about. So we actually had one lady that did that one of her umpteenth grandfathers was an overseer, and she was not going to talk about it until we said that we've been able to find no one who has family history of being related to an overseer. And then she finally has said, well, I do. And it was pretty funny. It's like it took, even with her, she wasn't just going to jump right out and be like, oh yeah, we have an overseer in our wood pile. It took like finally saying, no one knows about their overseer family members. And she was like, well, actually I do. So.
Well, being from the Midwest, from Illinois, like our families came Indiana, Illinois, that kind of, most of the time you'd have the renters, where you didn't have an overseer per se. But the farmers could rent and be like tenant farmers. So.
Yeah. Illinois being a free state probably, would be less likely. But then all the other places like Arkansas, Indiana, Mississippi, Alabama, there would have been a lot of overseers in those locations.
I think they probably call them farm managers.
Yeah, no, that is really.
We would say.
That's what it'd be called today.
Yeah, and I have actually seen that in historical records, people being referred to as farm managers, a more polite way to say overseers. So, but yeah, that hidden heritage sometimes can get lost. So, but of course, we're doing the excavations there, and the next step is digging with us. So you all joining us next week, and let me see if I can bring up this LiDAR. Let me see here. I'm looking for the screen that has this. Bring this guy over, and so this is the LiDAR here. It is taking its sweet time to come up. Come on, map, wake up. This is what Dennis has just recently done with the metal detector survey. I actually just entered in his hits today, and so you can click on these guys and then see what he's been finding. So.
Ooh, neat.
And if you want, I can send you the link for this. And it's just kind of fun to poke around. He's using an iPad out there and taking photographs of the artifacts. And how we have it organized is it labels those photos, and then we're able to actually, have the photos, they're labeled like DN638, which is the name of the square.
Yeah.
And so this square right here is DN638. Number of hits is 13. That's the total number of hits he found. And then up here, he's getting into 41 hits.
Wow.
Area. So in this one, he got, part of a piece of strap iron, a nail, these horseshoe nails right here, some slag over here, and these guys, there's just so much more stuff. Like, let's see if this one has multiple hits. Yeah, this one has multiple hits right here. This is more, looks like some cooking pot fragments or maybe slag. Yeah, this, what is that?
Would that be a piece off of that thrasher you were showing earlier?
I'm not sure, Tony. This one's a nail right here, but this one has it's a
One with
hole.
the hole there.
It's a thin piece of iron that's wrapped around, so it's more like a haft for a tool. Because remember, this is 2 inches, so that's still pretty big, but it's not a solid piece of iron. But I'm looking for the plow fragment that he found. I'm not seeing it. He'll have to, he might not have recorded that one yet. And what is this guy? Oh, this is part of a, oh my God. This is, that's an inch. Well, that's an inch. Yeah, that's too small. I was thinking this was a handle for a side, but that's way too small. I'm not sure what this guy.
Like
I
a
would have-
cotter pin or
I
something.
would have thought that would be like for a pin that you drive in to put a gate or something on.
Yeah,
Yes.
it could be like a cotter pin. That's a good likelihood. Absolutely. So yeah, knowing farm material, that's what you need to know to be able to figure out a lot of this stuff. Because this blacksmith shop is at the home farm.
Right.
It's all going to be farm material. So,
Sure.
and then that spring, I'm thinking this is the spring right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's,
Yeah.
let's see where Chicken Mountain Road. Yeah, here's Chicken Mountain Road. Here's Chicken
Right.
Mountain Road. Here's Westgate Road coming down through here. The overseer's house is right here. This is where the blacksmith shop is on this ridge. And actually, on the Wednesday lunch and learn, these are these depressions that we're looking at out.
Yeah.
But just down the hill is this spring. So it'd be really neat to do some test units down in here and see what shows up in this location. So some really cool stuff.
Neat.
I'm hoping that there was a borrow pit that was dug by the Masons somewhere in here during the restoration. I'm hoping that was away from that spring, because that would be just really sad if that had disturbed that. But some really, combining the LiDAR with the metal detector survey with, GPR, it's going to be some neat discoveries that we make out here. So, but yeah, that's, the kind of the overview and kind of the latest and the greatest. I'll stop sharing screens here. And do you all have any questions about this, or want to see anything else?
Just want to get in there and dig.
Somewhere along the way, Matt, you had said that it might be useful to bring an iPad. Is that still true? Do you want us to have that with us in the field, one of our own?
If you wanted to, you could. We actually have Wi-Fi at the site now, which is really great. There's Cindy Ruche gave us a grant to buy this unit that allows us, if we're in line of sight of the visitor center, there's a tower there, and we can catch the Wi-Fi signal from there and then enhance it. So you all will have internet at the site. So if you want to bring, your iPad or anything else, you'll be able to access everything right there. And so that means for data recording, like we're using iPads, like
that was my question, I guess, whether we should bring it as part of the toolkit that we're using out there, but we don't really need to because you're providing them. Okay.
For the iPads, that's something that that the crew is handling on their own, just because
Oh,
we
okay.
don't have any common touch areas. But
Right.
if
We
you
don't.
want, Peggy, you could bring your iPad and then we could show you what programs to download so that you could access the same information.
That's
So
what was mentioned sometime back. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, even
Something that we could download there that we can't download online and take home with us. Okay.
well, actually, all the stuff that we're working on is online. So you
Oh, okay.
can, if you have the what's called data collector, which is an Esri software, you can go in and find all of our data. So we've got volunteers right now that are data entering all of the excavation data from the mansion restoration. All that's available online. You can even get to it on your phone. And then everything that's at the overseer's house is also online. So you can go and see all the shots.
All the stuff on Digital Doorway.
Yeah, all the
right?
stuff in Digital Doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Oh,
dashboard.
all right.
Terry's making a dashboard right now for the excavation units. He hasn't quite finished that like he did for the STPs. But you'll be able to look up all your old units, online. And I'm waving my phone because
Okay.
it's just you can access stuff on your phone, which is just so wild. Like I can be out in the woods and bring up the LiDAR map if I have.
So there's no special super duper cool stuff we'll get if we bring our iPad with us. It's not any different than what we could access at home through the internet.
But you could have, Hannah and Taylor and Chris show you how to access the excavation records at the site, and you'd have a hard time doing it at home.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
once I would, bring it if you're interested in doing it,
All
bring it, because then they could show you how to access it, and then you can follow along at home and see, how we're opening up units.
Oh, okay.
When they're digitizing all of the profiles and the plan views. We used to do it on graph paper. We're
Right.
much fancier now. we do it on the iPad, and then all those it's so cool. Like when you're done with the drawing, it's a finished digital drawing. It is
Yeah.
just insane. I could
Wait.
let me show you. I think I did a PowerPoint for Elizabeth for her board presentation. Yeah, this one right here. Let me see if I have this. I'm gonna crash my computer. I have so many programs open right now. Let's see. Yeah, let me share screens again. Oh my goodness, what window am I at? I don't know who's on first. Where am I? All right, so I'm gonna share this screen, and then that's back on that one, and hit F5. Yeah, so here's the Hannah and Taylor and Hannah doing work on the IMLS project where they're digitizing in the stratum cards from the excavations from the 2002 through 2008. This is before COVID in the office, and then this is where their home base at Arlington. You might recognize the tables here in the dining room at Arlington with Baby Yoda right there. And then, obviously doing shovel test pits at the overseers. Yeah, this is this plug that Dennis opened up at the blacksmith shop. This is like 1 foot by 1 foot hole that he opened up, and he didn't take everything out of it. It was just, this is what was on the surface. So you can imagine if we opened up a 5 by 5 unit in this area, how much stuff we're going to get. So did I lose you all?
Whoa.
We're here.
Okay, all right. Yeah, all of a sudden because of my
Whoa.
screen went away here. Let me get you all up. Yeah, there, right there. This, this area is just incredibly rich. And then for the finished drawings, like this is a drawing of this feature right here, drawn in the field. And, it looks like usually it takes the winter to go back and digitize the graph paper and then label it all. This is done. This is like in 5 minutes, this level of drawing, level of drawing is complete, which is just so cool. So it's something that is Terry gets the grand prize for, making us move into the digital age with GIS and doing paperless. So it's pretty cool. And you'll all be able to see all this, which is fun. So
That's got to save you so much time, though.
oh yeah, it absolutely does. And it allows us to, like with the profiles, what was always the nightmare is if you've got like 8 different units with 8 different profiles, is if something's off on one profile and it's January and the site's backfilled, you can't go back and redraw or look at that profile. But with it all being digital, the profiles are drawing is all going on one digital drawing, and you can make sure it all lines up when you're there in the field, which is really cool. So it's some, exciting times that, doing this for 30 years, it's really cool to see it happen now. And especially some of this, this 3D stuff, that is just absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know if, let me see if I can bring, while we're just finishing up here, let me bring up home content. See if I can, yeah, this is the one. I'm gonna put this, let's see, if I bring this up right here, you should be able to see it. And actually, let me share screens. But what I'll do is I'm gonna share the link, and I'm gonna put this in the comments. And so afterwards, you can bring this up. Click on this link when you're done. But I'm going to share screens right here. And let's see if the mansion is coming up here. Sometimes it is really pokey. Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to use a different Internet Explorer. I'm going to use, what's this one called? It's the new one by Microsoft. Yeah, it comes up now. And this one, when I'm not logged in, it comes up quicker. But I think, see, y'all might have seen this in one of the Lunch and Learns, where it's the 3D model of the main house. And you can actually, it's not only the house on the outside, but, there's the drawing room. Make you all sick here. Here's the dining room. And just the level of detail, like if you zoom in on this hearth right here,
it's incredible,
isn't it? This is you all can look at this model at your house, house. You zoom in on this thing, and this is a photograph of the hearthstone that we found in the cellar back in 2005. So just the details that are in this it's like magic, and it's just so cool. And then let's see, for Mother Madison's side of the house, this hearth right here, I love this one, that you actually have the photograph of the hearth itself. Oh, it gets crazy zooming in and out of this. Let's see, now it's regenerating. So there's the amount of information that's in this. I think some of this stuff is just a little bit beyond the capability of like a PC right now, because the model gets kind of crazy. But just look at that detail with like the bricks. It's just so cool. Yeah. When I'm, during the workday, I can't look at this because I'll just end up not doing my work.
Mesmerized.
So, what's cool is this is my work now because of the IMLS grant, which is so exciting. We're getting all the cellar excavations in place, and what I need to do is figure out how to layer all the. See, it's going a little nuts right now. I need to figure out how to layer the different floors and be able to turn those on and off. But
what you need to do is delegate that responsibility to somebody, and when they get it figured out, show you how to do it.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. It's well, I enjoy this stuff too much, and I've been playing with it, so that's the only. It's actually we've got a there's a whole as part of the grant with IMLS, the folks at University of Arkansas, they're helping us out with this. I mean, they're the ones that are putting all of this architectural data into GIS for us. I'm just playing with it once they put it in. So yeah, there are people way more knowledgeable than I am about GIS who are putting this in. But what's great is once this is loaded in, we can load in all the data on, like, for example, here's the north dwelling and the smokehouses, all this data for all these buildings. And this is where I'm hoping in the near future that they're going to give us the skills where we can actually render these buildings in 3D instead of having these silly little Lego cubes out here. And so this guy, let's see, this one, yeah, this is this
There it is.
that we were
That
talking
well
about, where
house,
we
yeah.
keep all our tools. So that is looking in this direction,
Right there by the South Grove.
right by the South Grove, exactly. That so that midden is right in this area. And actually we can bring in, I can't in this one, but I've got in the logged in version that it gets really kind of crazy. I can bring in all the units that we excavated in this area. And so if you want to go to the overseer's house, you can go over here and there's the overseer's house. Here's the threshing barn that I was just talking about. Madison Family Cemetery is right there. I want to get this, what I want to do is get this landscape fleshed out a lot more with buildings and trees so that it's more recognizable. So that's kind of the goal, is to get this map right here to the level of
Detail?
that you've got right here. So I have this kind of rendering in this kind of environment that you can control yourself, which would be pretty cool. Because this link that I sent to you all can bring this up on your own computers. Like, play with that link. You go ahead and copy it and paste it. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got it off the screen. Play with this link right here in the chat, and you should be able to bring up, this map right here. And I'm gonna flesh this map out more. So this link will, I'm gonna be using this one to bring in more of the data as well in a 3D fashion. So, but so yeah, there's lots to do. We're not just digging in the ground. We're playing on the computer too. So, but we're looking forward to seeing you all next week. It's hard to believe that it's already October. This is
for sure. And there's hurricane. There's a problem brewing down in the Gulf right now.
Yeah.
really.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could have guaranteed that
And,
6 months ago.
Well, you're coming here, so it's gonna. You know where to stay. So
every time we fly,
just get here, and you'll be all set. Escape the hurricanes.
and the kids have to hurricane-proof the house again. So that'd be the third time
Yeah.
because we're gone.
Peggy, you're on the other side, aren't you?
Yeah,
No, I'm on the same side they're on.
Oh, you're on the same side. Okay. All right.
No, I'm in the same county that the Space Center's in. I'm about 25 miles south of the Space Center.
Okay. All right.
And as the crow flies, I'm about 5 miles from the beach. I'm on the mainland, not on the beach.
Oh, you got about 5 miles of buffer then. So
From
that's
the
about-
beach. Yeah,
that's about what we are. We're not
you're on the mainland.
we're not on Amelia Island,
Yeah.
but we're only 3 miles across the
Oh.
bridge, and you're on the island.
okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be getting a lot more familiar with Florida. Tanya's parents own a little piece of land on a lake in a place called Interlaken.
Oh, sure.
And it's very rural and very remote area. And we got to know their neighbor, and they had to move back to Wisconsin. So they offered it to us at a price we could not refuse. And it includes an RV that's not running, but is livable.
Oh.
So we're going to use that as kind of a vacation
Oh.
home. So Peggy, we're going to come up at Thanksgiving. We'll have to have a party of everybody coming.
Cool. What's the closest town to Interlaken, the closest big town? Ocala?
No,
No?
it's
Farther south. Sebring?
Palatka.
Palatka.
Palatka. Okay.
Palatka
Okay.
is about 20
Just-
minutes to the
Yeah, it's a little bit southwest of Jacksonville.
yeah, a little bit southwest of Jacksonville. Yep.
You're
So-
really close to Gail and Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we are. The last time we drove through, we visited. So
Yeah, they came and stayed with us.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Cool.
on the way back. So
And this time, we both the daughters live up here too in Fernandina. So we've got, if he didn't like the menu at one house, he's got 2 other B&Bs that he can check out. You know?
so well, can't wait to see you all. And let me know if
Likewise.
anything comes up, or if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me a text or an email or a phone call.
And Peggy, give us a call and let us know what you're
Okay.
doing.
What's a good time to call you tomorrow? Anytime?
Hey, we're up
Okay.
6 and
All right.
on.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
make a decision and call you in the morning
Okay,
or
that's
talk
great.
about it. Yeah. Okay.
that'd be awesome to have you all travel up together. That'd be
Well, I'm saying with Debbie, if she could fly instead of having to fly into wherever you're flying in Richmond,
Yeah, Richmond.
if you could fly into Jack's
Nobody can fly into Jack's.
well,
yeah. That might get too complicated. So
Well,
My
Southwest-
big question is, it leaves me without a car though while I'm there, and you all aren't at Arlington House and I am, so that might be problematic. Have to think about
come
that.
get you. We go to dinner every night.
Well,
that's true. Yeah.
Oh, Peggy, I'll have a car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Debbie, you're going to be running a car. So cool.
You girls work it out, and we'll be there to help.
Good deal. Well, if anything else comes up, let me know, and we'll work it from there. And if anybody needs anybody else's phone number, we can communicate in between. So, and I think everybody has each other's emails from the email that we've been sending
Yeah.
around.
Oh, yeah.
we have the emails.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
travel
Matt.
safe, you all, and
Thanks.
look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And if anybody's interested, if you're here on earlier on Sunday, I've got, like I said, I'm doing a tour at 11 and 1. It'd be great to have you join me.
Yeah, send me some info on that. Please.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, will do. I'll
Alrighty.
let you know. All you have to do is join me at the visitor center. So
Oh, okay. That's
easy
simple.
enough. So, but I'll send you the times. So,
Okay,
Sounds
thank
good.
you, Matt. See everybody soon.
okay.
Bye.
Y'all.
Yeah, Debbie,
Bye.
Carissa, see y'all soon
See you
Okay.
soon.
at the house.
Yes. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.